You said never let me go. You said never let me go.
Hello viewers, welcome to Tiema Home Lesson Channel. This is a place where chemistry is made easy for your understanding. We run the WAEC and IGCSE syllabuses that will help prepare you for WAEC, NECO and UTME examination in Nigeria and the International General Certificate of Secondary Education Examination for candidates that want to study abroad. Our lessons are structured based on our scheme to capture the three grades of learners, which are grade 10, 11, and 12, or SS1, 2, and 3, respectively. Today we are going to look at the topic, the periodic table. How can we define the periodic table and what is the periodic table? Thank you as you watch and listen. Welcome back. Okay, by definition, a periodic table is a tabular display of the chemical elements ordered on the basis of atomic number to show the similarities in their properties. A periodic table is a tabular display of the chemical elements ordered or arranged on the basis of atomic number to show the similarities in their properties. Or we can define it as the arrangement of the chemical elements in rows and columns on the basis of their reactivity. The arrangement of the chemical elements in rows and columns on the basis of their reactivity. Good. Of course, you might be wondering, why is it called periodic table? Periodic. Of course, periodic means something occurring at a regular interval, like your birthday, Christmas Day, Easter days. These are days, occasions that happen at regular intervals. Okay, so as we study on, you will know the reason why it is called periodic table. All right. Okay, now reasons for grouping the elements. Why did scientists group the elements? Of course, there are many elements, and these elements have similar properties. So it will be difficult for us to study them as individual elements. So the reason is to make it easier for us to study their properties as a group. It is to make it easier for us to study their properties as a group. Now let's see a brief historical development of the periodic table. In 1800, scientists were beginning to understand that the Earth is made up of elements. They started to look for a way of grouping the then known elements in order to make the study of their properties simpler. The first attempt to classify the element was made by a geologist, Alexandra Beguia de Chancotois, who lived between 1820 and 1886. He proposed a chart that used atomic weight to order the elements. Now, other scientists who also attempted the construction of periodic table for the then known element were Julius Lothar von Meyer, who lived between 1830 and 1895, was a German chemist, and John Alexander Newlands, who lived between 1837 and 1898, and he was an English chemist. Newland constructed his periodic table based on the law of octave, which states that any given element will exhibit similar behavior or similar property to the 8 elements following it in the table. Any given element will exhibit similar property to the 8 elements following it in the table. Now, Newland's arrangement showed all the known elements arranged in 7 groups. So his own table contains 7 groups, which he likened to the octaves of music. The octave of music in which the 8th note is the same as the first note on the scale, the musical scale. Like you play on your keyboard, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, the 8th note is the same as the first note, do, do, do with a high pitch. All right. Now, the elements were ordered by the atomic weight. So Newland also used the criterion of atomic weight to order the elements. Okay, so the elements were ordered by the atomic weight that were known at the time. However, his table and those of the other scientists did not provide space for the undiscovered elements. All right, so in 1869, another scientist called Dmitry Mendeleev, a Russian chemist who lived between 1834 and 1907, constructed an acceptable form of the periodic table. He arranged the elements in order of increasing atomic mass, such that elements with similar properties reoccurred at regular intervals of the table. He called this reoccurrence periodicity, hence the name periodic table. So for sure, we can say that periodic table is a table of the elements in which their properties reoccur at a regular interval. Mendeleev's periodic table had many gaps because he predicted that there were undiscovered elements which could fill the gaps. He even predicted the possible properties of these elements. Later, new elements such as scandium, gallium, and germanium were discovered, which fitted exactly into his periodic table. This effort earned him many international honors, and he is known to be the inventor of the periodic table. All right. Now, modern periodic table and periodic law. Modern periodic table and periodic law. With the discovery of atomic structure and electronic configuration, the modern periodic table is constructed on the basis of atomic or proton numbers and electronic configuration of atoms. This is supported by the modern periodic law, which states that the physical and chemical properties of the elements are the periodic function of the atomic numbers. This law was proposed by Henry Moseley of England in 1913. This was as a result of his review of the Mendeleev periodic table, which revealed that some elements were wrongly ordered on the table and suggested that the only reliable parameter for ordering the element was atomic number. Yeah, this is because atomic number of an element does not change, like the weight or mass of the element. It's a fixed parameter. Thus, on the modern periodic table, elements are arranged in the order of increasing atomic number. Exercise. Answer the following question. Who is regarded as the inventor of the modern periodic table? Okay. Number 2, the modern periodic table is constructed on the basis of dash and dash. 3, who proposed the modern periodic law? 4, state the modern periodic law. 5, on the modern periodic table, elements are arranged in the order of dash. Now let's see the features of the modern periodic table. There are about 118 elements as at now. The basic feature of the modern periodic table is its division into vertical columns and horizontal rows. The vertical columns are called groups, while the horizontal rows are called period. Now, explanation. Groups. A group consists of elements in any vertical column of the periodic table. There are 8 main groups or 18 groups when we include the transition elements. Transition elements are special elements found in between group 2 and 3. Period. A period consists of elements in any horizontal row of the periodic table. There are 7 periods. Now note, elements in the same group have the same number of valence electrons. That's electrons in the outermost shell of an atom. Valence electrons are electrons in the outermost shell of an atom. Also, elements in the same group exhibit similar chemical properties. This is because they can lose or gain the same number of electrons in a chemical reaction. Now, the modern periodic table contains elements which are arranged in order of increasing atomic number. Now, note also that there's a boundary line. This is a staircase-like line that is found towards the right-hand side of the table. This line demarcates the element into metals and non-metals. Elements on the left-hand side of the line are metals. Those on the right-hand side of the non-metals. Along the boundary line are elements which exhibit both the properties of metals and non-metals. They are called metalloid or semi-metals. Examples are boron, silicon, and germanium. Transition element. These are the elements found in between group 2 and 3 of the periodic table. They are all metallic elements. Now here is a picture of the modern periodic table. Look at it closely and answer the questions that follow. Okay, how many vertical columns are there on the table? We can count up to 18, but there are 8 main columns. There are 8 main columns, 2 on the left side of the metals, the transition metals, where we have staircase written on top, 2 groups on the left hand side, 6 on the right. Okay, so we can count 8 vertical columns, 8 main vertical columns, 2 columns on the left hand side of the word staircase, and then 6 on the right side of that word staircase. Okay. What are the vertical columns called? The vertical columns are called groups. Lithium and sodium belong to the same vertical column. State one factor that is common to lithium and sodium. One factor that is common to lithium and sodium is that they have the same number of valence electrons. They have the same number of valence electrons. Potassium and calcium belong to the same horizontal row. Mention one factor that is common to potassium and calcium. Okay, one factor that is common to potassium and calcium is that they have the same number of electron shell. Okay, number 5. What color legend on the table represents non-metals and metalloid? Let's go back to the table. The color legend for non-metal is yellow. That of metalloid is, I think, brown. Okay. All right. Thank you for being part of today's lesson. Do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.